the great pleasure to be standing here now with Dr. Stefan Löbbecke. He's been working at Fraunhofer Chemistry Alliance for quite some time now, and I'd love to know and get a little bit of a feeling of what's going on in the chemical sector. And I think there's no better place to start than Fraunhofer. Maybe if you could first of all introduce what the Chemical Alliance is doing.
Yeah. The Chemistry Alliance is not that old, to be honest. We have been founded 3 years ago. And it's actually a collaboration of Fraunhofer Institutes, 15 Fraunhofer Institutes in total, all of them having different types of interaction with the chemical industry, so providing R&D services to chemical industry, from pure chemical synthesis up to regulatory issues, for instance, engineering questions, so very, very broad material science. And it's actually a kind of one-stop shop approach to the Fraunhofer world in the field of chemistry and chemical engineering. That's the key idea.
So what are the, let's say, your favorite projects? That must be hard to say, but what are the projects that you think are currently solving the most pressing issues of our time?
Well, we have tried to focus that on 6 thematic priorities, so to say. So one is for sure green chemistry, efficient green chemistry. That's probably number 1. It's energy efficiency and general process intensification. I would say that's number 2. We have the digitalization, which is a huge issue, and also in conjunction with the previous 2 mentioned ones. Scale up, this is certainly a specialty of the Fraunhofer world, so we're usually not in the lower TRL areas, so we try to support industry in coming up to higher TRLs, and scale up is an issue in this context, a particular issue in this context. Safety, as always, it's not only process safety, it's also from a chemical safety perspective or toxicological perspective. So PFAS, for instance, is a very, very urgent topic during these days and also during this fair. And I probably missed the last one, which is circularity. Yeah. So getting away from fossil raw materials, coming up with circular approaches, strategies, particularly in the polymer field. So that's more or less all these 6 key topics we are working on.
And then what are the innovations that have fascinated you the most that came out of the house?
That's pretty hard to say. Of course, you have to ask people from industry. I think what we can show here is, in particular, the collaboration of institutes having different expertises. So the interdisciplinarity, I think this is the key feature of this alliance, and this is probably the most impressive thing for people from outside looking at the Fraunhofer world. Usually they have experience with singular institutes, so that they get their support in terms of whatever, doing improving a chemical synthesis, improving a certain process, or getting advice in safety or regulatory issues. But I think what is most impressive for people looking from the outside into this Fraunhofer Alliance world is indeed the interdisciplinary approach. So we have people who are not only able to synthesize things, we have people who are able to make the process, to run the process efficiently, having a view on the economics, for instance, having an idea how to scale up and how to make the entire thing safe. So I think this is the combination which is most fascinating. Mm-hmm.
What are your biggest learnings from the past years with regard to very interesting research and development that is obviously taking place all the time, but then bringing these innovations actually onto the street and in the industry, which is what you were saying earlier, is obviously also really a big part of your role.
It is, yeah. Well, I mean, there's certain economic pressure, of course, currently on the companies, particularly in the chemistry industry and in the chemical engineering industry. So this is certainly something that also has an impact on the speed, how to accelerate all these green tech approaches and all these defossilization approaches. So this is certainly a hurdle that we currently have to take, not only from the industry side, also from our side. So to be more flexible, to be probably more adjustable to the specific needs of an industry under certain economic pressure. I think this is something that is currently, during these days and weeks, something of highly importance.
I think there's also an interesting topic that has to do with competitiveness of the industry, especially vis-a-vis other countries or even continents. What is if we're zooming out a little bit from a bird's point of view, your take on competitiveness with Germany or within Germany or Europe in general? is then also then related to how fast do you actually apply innovations and get that efficiency gains and sustainability gains going?
It's certainly one of these most important points. Others are concerning the competitiveness of the industry itself. It's of course energy prices. That's a huge point in the discussion we currently have, not only in Germany, in Europe wide. Regulatory issues, and PFAS is just one very popular example. So these are certainly additional issues that come up in all the discussions we have with industry. And we see that this is certainly additional pressure on the companies to be also competitive, in particular to Asia region or also to the US region, where it's currently very attractive to invest there because of certain political frameworks we see there. And so therefore, companies are struggling with these challenges and are certainly see high hurdles in front of their endeavors and the road.
How closely are you, or how strong are your bonds then towards the regulatory side, dealing with government, maybe, recommending certain action plans to be taken and measurement?
We are very much involved in this regulatory issues, and Fraunhofer is not that much seen in this context. But however, we support companies in all terms of chemical safety. Again, this includes also PFAS discussion. We're supporting them also in developing alternative materials, for instance. But we are very close also with the political boards, supporting them in finding the right way. Just as always, finding a compromise between making things more green, more healthy, more safe. On the other hand, also, we have a very close relationship with industry, so we can also reflect what is the needs from the industry side and what is really feasible in short terms. So how can we realize certain restrictions or certain improvements? What is the economic impact of this? So this is our role a little bit also to support the political boards.
Very interesting closing words. Thank you so much for having taken the time. Have a great conference experience for the rest of those days here, and thank you so much.
Thank you for coming over.